Yeah, but I'll change it on the there we go. So we're live. So I'll go ahead and post the links out there, but if you're tuning in later on, thank you guys for tuning in. This is the After Hours podcast. I've got New Fish, Big Pond here, as well as Fridge
Hey,
Financial and Darren. So we've got a really stacked up crew tonight, you know what I mean? So that's perfect. So
yeah,
I guess I'll start with
thanks for having us all on here. Appreciate that.
Yeah, dude, for sure. Another fun time. I was on here like 2 days ago, so you can't get rid of me now, I guess. Now I'm gonna be here a
yeah,
lot more.
you're stuck with us now. So I guess like while I'm getting the link sent out there, like just for like the video's sake for those tuning in later, New Fish Big Pond, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and kind of just start with the moves you made today.
Yeah. So this is New Fish Big Pond. Today I was, sort of watching the market and seeing what was going on. And my entire portfolio was pretty much just green going up, up, up. So it was a little hard for me to buy because I've got a rule where you buy on red, not green. But I ended up going ahead and buying a MicroStrategy $402 call strike price. That was going to end. That was going to expire Friday. I bought it this morning. Went down to about 15%. Then it was down 25%. I held on to it, and an hour and a half later, or an hour later, I forget. I was up 50%, and then it started dropping. I actually ended up getting out of it at plus 21%, so that was good. And then Netflix had their earnings after market today. Rather than do call options on that or outright shares because they're so expensive, I decided to do the NFXL, which is a 2x leverage on Netflix Bull, and ended up getting out of that with I think it was 20 or 21% profit. I could have held it and could have rode it higher. I know it went up 25 or 30% tonight alone. And it'll probably go up more tomorrow as well. But I figure, realized profits are actual profits, and that's what we're here for. So I was happy with it.
That's awesome, man. So starting with moving on to Fridge Financial real quick. Did you want to introduce yourself real quick and mention anything you had
Yeah,
going on
so
today?
First Financials here. Recently to the After Hour community. I only joined, I think, like a couple weeks ago. I think it was maybe like 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. And ever since then, it's been awesome meeting people and everything. If you do know, follow me on that. I have that Chat GPT trade challenge, which is freaking insane and it's going crazy right now. So you'll see me doing some DGen stuff, but I also do offer educational stuff as well. So it's not just full on DGen gambling on my platform. It's mostly educational with a little bit of DGen mixed into it, basically.
Heck yeah, man. You said you made some gains today too?
Yeah, so ChatGPT challenge up almost 5% in one day, which is absolutely crazy. I was sitting down like at least like $15. Right now I'm in five different companies right now, all penny stocks that you probably shouldn't be gambling with, but it's the degen in me doing it. Inuvu, Comstock, Fiscal Note, Arb, Robotics, and Wrecker Systems. I cashed out one of them already for like $12 profit, which was on $100, about 12%, because I hit the level I was looking for. And with the information going out for the $500 billion going into AI, since a lot of these companies are tech based, a nice huge pump after hours for some of them. I know Wrecker Systems got destroyed today, but now it's up 11%, almost 12 after hours. So my focus is probably going to be to set orders to be filled at market open potentially. It's going to put the Chat GPT challenge up almost 30% in almost a month. So can't really complain about that one. And I literally don't do that much. It's Chat GPT doing all of it. So it's actually been really, really successful so far. It's early stages of testing. But to be 5 for 5 in profit weeks is definitely not something to play around with. I think it's really, really interesting.
Yeah, that is really interesting, man. I'm glad you're profiting off of that. You know what I mean? Because that's kind of unheard of, really. People doing that stuff. Everyone wishes. Oracle just shot up a ridiculous amount. I'm looking at it now. Oracle just went from $172 to $184 in like no amount of time at all. I'm kind of confused.
Wow.
Aftermarket's just crazy on Oracle right now. It's up 6% after hours, 6.6% after hours, and during the day it was already up 7%. So that's pretty interesting.
Well, I do believe I think they were mentioned in that article for the $500 billion
They
investment
definitely
going back
were.
into
And
the.
that's going to be a
I think
hundred
Oracle
billion
maybe
dollars
everyone.
that first year too, so that's insane.
Yeah. So maybe that's people buying in, being like, "Oh, it's the future." Buying in possibly could be a huge order going through, maybe overnight.
Intel Corporation is up 1.29% overnight, so that's pretty interesting as well. Um, and then there's a couple stocks I have that I'm showing on my screen real quick that are pretty much already closed for the day, but you know, there that's pretty much what
And
happens is
as we were, I just want to interject here real quick. As we were all just talking before the live stream here, Intel has earnings coming up. What was it, next week? I think next Thursday, next Friday, something like that.
I'm thinking they're gonna announce a buyout.
That's
That's
what I'm
what the
thinking as
sentiment
well.
kind of is. Whether or not there is a buyout, as long as they don't say there's not, I see it pumping up to earnings.
Yeah, I feel like maybe if they don't mention a buyout, I wonder if people are buying in for speculation buyouts. And then if they don't announce one, I wonder what would actually happen if people are like, oh, they actually aren't going to do any buyouts. And they might just pull their money out and put it somewhere else, maybe.
Possibly, yeah.
It's always that buy the rumor, sell the news kind of thing, usually, that people would like to try to speculate and try to get in early on, I feel like.
Right. Which is why I'm thinking buy calls and then sell, maybe buy a couple calls, sell half the day before, or I mean the day of, but before earnings, and then keep half
Mm.
for after earnings.
Yeah, let a
Yeah.
couple run maybe after earnings. Instead of
Yeah.
taking profits, run with and then just play with hopefully house money. Go into earnings wouldn't be too bad of an idea.
Yeah.
And then
One thing is that you look at like the Intel chart, like the bottom was like 18 something, I think it was. If you look at it, like you could take a look and see that like the bottom was like 1875. It's like a lot of support down there. So a little bit higher than hopefully you would have wanted to get in at, but still not a bad idea potentially.
You said the support was 1875.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of seeing. If you look at like a daily chart for Intel, there's a lot of like touch points and like rebounds at like 1850, 1875 area. So I'm counting right now like 4 supports minimum in the last like 3 months of like 1875 ish, 1850. So I'm
That's
wondering if
cool.
that was like the bottom. Yeah, so I wonder if that was at the bottom. So I mean, it's a little bit higher up obviously now than before, but if you see any kind of retracement back down there, it might not be a bad opportunity to either buy and acquire shares potentially for a buyout or do call options as well.
Yeah. No, I definitely I definitely just wrote those numbers down so that I can have them for my notes here.
Yeah, and I always put it in my videos every time. I am not a financial advisor, so if I'm wrong, it's not my fault. Just putting that out there.
Listen, everyone is responsible for their own portfolio. We are all big boys and girls. Never
Right?
invest anything that you cannot afford to lose.
I need
That's
I
what I
need
would
to I need to always have to put that in there like every time. Just be like, guys, I'm not a financial advisor. Do not take anything I say as like actual financial advice.
Even if you are a financial advisor, just that you're not giving financial advice is what I would say.
Right.
Yeah,
So I'm looking at the
even
chat. So yeah, go ahead.
no, you can go ahead.
I was gonna say, so Jason said, what would happen to Intel if they were bought out? So it depends what they buy it out at. Like, so right now it's trading at what, 21 something, I think it is.
Right now it's 22 even.
Yeah, so if they do a buyout and they acquire shares for like 23, $24, then that's what you would sell your shares at, so you get a guaranteed profit on it. If they do a buyout for less than that, then obviously you lose your shares. If you bought in like 22 and they buy it out at 21, then obviously you lose $1 per share.
I don't see that happening. I think it
So
would be
usually the buyouts are higher
yeah,
than what it
Yeah.
trades at.
because the shareholders have to like there's like a vote to buy out, I
Yeah.
think, or there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes
Y-
on.
Yeah, so if it was like $25, you would get $3 per share for however many shares you own, essentially, is how you do the buyouts usually. Which is why stocks usually pump right after the buyout's announced, usually. The stock usually pumps up pretty much because everyone's trying to buy in to still get in before the buyout price.
Yes, sir.
Are these going?
Hello, everybody.
Oh, there's Darren. Hey,
Ah,
buddy.
Darren, welcome. Hello.
People are asking. People are worried about you, man. They want to make sure you're here.
Oh yeah, I am here. Hello, everybody. Welcome. So,
Welcome to Darren Land.
what is anybody in Apple today?
I have some Apple shares. I have about, let's see, $1,556 worth of Apple.
Okay, let's consider it. Yeah, they dropped tremendously over the last month? They were at 200. Wait, they're at what 250 a
Yeah,
share,
they're
and
250,
and now they're
260.
at what 220.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Uh,
they were at about a month ago. They were at 259.10,
right.
and now it's
Um,
222.
Yeah, so I mean, I think today might have been a good day to get in because it looks like it reached its resistance at around 220-ish. I got a call when it was about 220, so now it's at what 222.
oh
Yeah,
wow. That
222.
was a good buy-in actually.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, my cons are up right now. I just gotta manage the lose.
Okay.
Well, what was that?
All right, here we go, guys. So I just see it something right now. It says Oracle CEO, and then it says from cancer detection to custom vaccine within 48 hours with AI. So that is why the Oracle is shooting up. This tweet says Oracle CEO Larry Ellison says, "quote One of the most exciting things we're working on is using the tools that Sam and Masa are providing as a cancer vaccine." That's why Oracle just shot up.
Interesting.
Oh wow, that is very
Huh.
interesting. Did anybody even think about getting calls on Oracle today?
Bought shares actually. No, so I'm up 6% on shares. I bought $1,500 worth. It's sitting at about 1663 right now. So
Okay, good on you. When did you get
Good
those
job.
shares?
I bought them right after market close, about 4:10 Eastern. Um, so yeah, I had a pretty good buy-in buy-in price, I think. I bought it after it's run during the day. Pretty much I bought it right after the announcement of the $500 billion. I was like, okay, this is about to run, and it significantly did in after hours. We'll see if it continues on into tomorrow, but I'm up like 6% on shares on Oracle in one day, so that's pretty
Yeah,
good.
that's really good.
That's
That's
really
healthy.
good.
Yeah.
If I would have bought calls, I would have bought calls, but I waited too long and market had already closed, so I bought shares.
It's always that thing where it's like, what if I bought all these call options for it, and then what if Oracle is down like 10% after hours? Then it's like, oh well.
Right.
I always try not to like remember that. I'd be like, to get out of hindsight, being like, well, what if I did this? Because in reality, you didn't. So it's just like you actually didn't do that. So don't even try to be like the what if thing. It's like I have someone who like teaches in high school, I have students who are just like, did you buy Bitcoin? Did you buy Bitcoin $100? And I was like, dude, even if I bought 100, I would have sold at 1,000 and thought I was the smartest guy in the world. Like I would have not held it to 100. I would have not held it to 100K, bro. Like you're out of your mind. Anybody
Right.
and me and Daisy were talking about this the other night on his podcast earlier. I was like, and the only people who have bought at $100 and are still holding it, you lost your hard drive and you have no
Yep.
access to it,
Yep. Yep.
or you're very, very, very lucky 0.1% of people who actually still have it. Like other than that, people would
Right.
have cashed at 10K, 20K. Like, there's no way.
There's
Dude,
no way.
imagine you bought a
Yeah.
Bitcoin for $1,000 and then it hit 45K. Yeah, selling it, you know?
I would have sold it like 20K, bro. I wouldn't even go to 45.
Yeah.
I would have sold it at $20.
Right? Like, I'll sell that whatever. I'm taking profits on it. But again, like it's always like people always have that like idea of being like, well, what if this happened? It's like, well, it's not. So let's make plays moving forward, not backwards. You know, we can't play in the past.
When Bitcoin was $6,000, I had a half a coin and like it just wasn't going anywhere for a minute. And so I was like, this is stupid. This thing isn't going to go anywhere. And so I just sold it. And I'm like, oh my God, 2017, come back here, please. You know?
Right. Yeah. If time machines existed, that would be absolutely fantastic. But
Right.
fortunately, we don't have those. Oh wow! Someone in the chat said Tempest AI. Anybody holding it? It's up a lot.
Yeah,
35% today, and then 13 after hours.
Yeah, well, so the reason that it went up so much during the day is because it was on Nancy Pelosi's stock list.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That was released. That was released yesterday. So
There's a lot
everybody
of people
bought
that
in
bought.
today, and it skyrocketed. And then
Yeah.
you've got the AI bill, so that's just going to make it shoot up even more.
Yep.
Yeah. I love when people play those plays. It's like, dude, the money just floods in, like, and people are just like, oh, like, it's always like I made a video about this a while ago where it's like Congress should not have like trading information and stuff like that. They shouldn't trade stocks on Congress while they're actively in there and stuff like that. Because it's just like you look at like all these major stocks like Nancy Pelosi, and over the years, the minute she exposes it, it's up 9-10%. Like the next day, the next week, like you can't tell me it's manipulation because it's everybody follows where you're going with your money. Like it's crazy to me.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, it's a damn shame because I mean, technically she could just sell it today, make a huge profit. If people follow her trades, they would know that she sold, and then the stock would just tank again. So, like, I don't know. I mean, she must have some sort of, plan like further down the road with that stock because from what I understand, she didn't sell a damn thing.
Yeah, her Google one's up like only 3% because Google's only up 1%, but still up. 3% of whatever it was, like 250K. I think she put into Google call options. Still better.
Didn't you say that Google's having earnings pretty soon?
I know the big earnings are coming out soon. Google, I believe. I mean, I know that Amazon's next week, Apple's next week. Google.
Guys, I just thought about this, right? As far as Google's concerned, didn't they have that antitrust lawsuit or whatever? That's probably going to go away now. That's going to go away now. She probably knows it, and that's another reason she's probably buying in.
Wow.
That and that and Willow.
Google call options.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like that makes perfect sense to me.
But there was another one that I believe she bought in at where she bought in, I think it was Palo Alto Networks. She bought in, it crashed. She doubled down and then it pumped like the next day after that. Because we're like, oh, she has that much conviction of Palo Alto Networks, or she knows something else or whatever it was. So she didn't give a crap. She was just doubling down on that one, and then it shot up, and now she's probably made a crap ton of money on that one.
Yeah. So what we got to do is just get a bot to find her real-time trades and just trade them.
Right.
I'm pretty sure we found like right when it happened because people actually track her trades to the second. Like there's literally like websites dedicated to Nancy Pelosi trades. I think there's actually a website dedicated to political trades in general, like everybody in Congress.
Yeah, but it's not real time though. It's when they release it, right? Because they don't. So like that. So for example, this Pelosi release that came out yesterday, it had trades from the 14th and the 17th on the same document, right? So that right there is for at least for the week.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
I think there's a certain amount of days that pass, and then they have to announce. Like it's definitely time gated. She doesn't
Yeah.
have to announce it same day or anything.
Like what's crazy is like they do it with like the intent of being like we don't want it to impact the market, and it doesn't matter. You can delay it a day, a week, a month. It still is going to impact the market. Like that's what's crazy to me is that it
Exactly.
just doesn't make sense. So like I know that they were talking about trying to put a bill into place where Congress can't do it. I made a whole thing about it, and I actually brought up like the Nancy Pelosi like tracker of like how much money. And it's funny because you do like the math behind it. She makes like I think like 200K a year in like Congress or some number like that, and her net worth is like $200 million. It's like
Yeah.
you don't in a lifetime of working in Congress, you will not make that much money. Like she's made so much money through trading stocks, or her husband, who's also made a crap ton of money trading stocks as well.
So her husband is the sort of the veil, if you will, because he's actually a professional trader, or
Yeah.
was. Um, but yeah, I mean, you look at like Mitch McConnell. I think the amount of money that he's brought in since. I mean, granted, he's been there for a million years, but the amount of money that he's brought in from his stock trades are crazy too. You
Yeah.
know. And like you said, these folks aren't making millions of dollars a year as public servants. They're making just a couple hundred grand. Typically what these people do is they get in there to get some clout or some power, and then they move on to get something that's a little bit more lucrative. But in this case, it's lucrative to stay in if you're getting all the inside information, right?
Yeah, at
Yep.
this point, it's the entire market. Like it's just paying to be in the market right now. Anyone that lost money during the holidays, like early January, pulled their money out. Like this is where their money would have rebounded.
There was a thing I saw recently that it was somebody in Congress recently brought up XRP, I believe, too.
Yeah, XRP I
Really?
think dumped
Yeah.
today. Let me check actually. Let me
I
be
guess-
factual with my understanding of XRP. I'm waiting for an ETF because the second an ETF pops up, I mean, yeah, so it's still above $3. It didn't drop much today actually. It's still healthily above $3. I
So
believe
this,
it'll go
so
up to
this,
five probably this year.
So,
so
hey, can we talk about quantum computing for a second?
Yeah, which stock?
I'm gonna go with my old reliable, the one that I love,
Ion.
Ion Q.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ion
man.
Q.
Ion Q, baby. I think we're coming back. I mean, I know
Oh,
it was
today
a
it
great day
blasted
for the
up.
market. It was a great day for the market. I know that. But Ion Q just really had a great pop. I'm pulling it up right now. Just bear with me. But I think it was, yeah, I gained 16.5% on my Ion Q shares. And
yeah,
it's
that's
it's
wild.
my largest holding. I mean, the only other thing other than that, I mean, Jesus, Rocket Lab, but that was a crazy one as well.
I know that now, Newfish. I don't know, I don't know if how familiar you are with the ETF for it. So me and Day Zero were talking about it. Like I'm in quantum computing in my retirement, but not just individual stocks, but the quantum ETF overall, which has the diversification and has like Ion Q and stuff like that in there. So that way, it's like a little less like centralized in one stock. I don't know if you ever looked into one of those. I
Um,
know that it's a decent ETF and it's up year to date. It's already up 4% almost.
that's beautiful. I love that. I don't know if there's only one or if there's if there's multiple. But I know that my dad was looking into a quantum computing ETF, and the reason he did not get into it is because MicroStrategy was also in it, and he couldn't figure out why MicroStrategy is in it. And I told him, I said, look, it's a software company,
Yeah. Uh,
technically.
yeah. So the one that I have is Rigetti Computing, IonQ, Taiwan Semiconductors, and this one actually Applied Materials. So
Oh, okay.
but it doesn't have in the top 10 holdings. It doesn't have MicroStrategy. So even if it's in there, I really don't care because it's less than the top 10. So
Yeah. Oh,
I have
yeah. No, that's
four
good.
of it.
Which
And
fund is that?
Defiance Quantum ETF,
It's
QTUM is ticker
QTUM.
symbol.
QTUM. Okay. Oh yeah.
It outperformed S&P 500 last year too. It was up like 50-something%, and S&P was like 25. So I was like, you know what? Because I see quantum being the future and pushing forward into like the tech space and everything like that. And maybe for the next 10, 15 years, but if it's in my retirement account, I'm not touching that for a while anyways. So I might as well like have a little bit of diversification in that, is my opinion.
Absolutely. I would also advise you to excuse me, not advise because I'm not going to advise anybody on their portfolio. Be very careful there. But if it were my retirement portfolio, what I would do is I would definitely get some shares and throw it in there, man. I mean, I don't know how familiar you are with the space, but IonQ is by far the front runner as of now.
Okay.
They have I believe it's over 100 patents that are approved and over 100 that are still pending as well. Their closest competitor is IBM, and I mean they may win the quantum computing race. They may not. It could be a startup that hasn't even started up yet. We don't know because
Right.
quantum computing is in its infancy. But IonQ, they're a powerhouse, and I believe that they have the potential to be like this could be like getting in on the floor of the next Mag 7 company.
Oh wow. Yeah, I'm still trying to do a lot of research because obviously it's the same thing with like even when I first started learning about like cryptos like years ago, like it's a lot of just like research, reading into things, and I think someone said in the chat earlier about like building like your own strategy and understanding like what it is that you're actually putting money into really does help instead of just being like, oh, since New Fish is pumping ion Q, I'll do it too. Like, why not? I mean, if you have that conviction, is what you really need to have those successful trades. So, I'm still doing a lot of research into it, but it definitely seems like it's very promising for the future. I'd say.
Yeah, no, and thank you for bringing that up. By the way, Fridge, please, everyone that's listening, please, if you see a signal that I put out or that anyone puts out, don't just blindly follow it because that's not our money. That's your money. We've already done what we wanted to with our money, but you need to be able to decide what you want to do with your money. Where do you want your portfolio centered? You need to understand what your personal risk management is. You need to understand what you're willing to lose. You need to understand when you are willing to take profits. Don't wait for sell signals, and if you see a buy signal, make sure that you want to buy it. Don't just blindly follow it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's how that works.
It's strange. I know. It's weird.
Especially do not blindly
and then
follow ChatGPT trades.
And one more thing, and I'm just going to speak for myself here. If I put out a buy signal, please don't in the comments section come and ask me for my due diligence on it. I didn't ask you to buy it. I told you that I was buying it. Very simple.
Yeah,
I know. I know I sound like a dick for saying that, but I had
You've
it
had a lot
happen,
of
and
shit about that. I understand there.
yeah. So
I mean, yeah, you've already done all the legwork by that point in time, and you're just like, all right, damn it, I'm gonna buy it,
So someone in
Yeah.
the comments
and you buy it.
asked, what has RGTI done or what are its products? Basically, like all the quantum tech is just research and development right now. Like they don't really have products. That's kind of like that's kind of the whole problem that brought the market down. Like when Jensen went to the conference here recently, and
Yeah,
that's what sent the
CES.
stocks down back to like $6. But obviously they're ramping back up because of all this investment into technology currently. The $500 billion. People are thinking that AI research will help develop quantum as well.
Well, I mean, it most likely will, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of research, research and development phase, IonQ has research contracts with the U.S. Air Force as well. So,
Oh wow. That was like one of those like AI plays that I'm like seeing wanting to build a position in. Is Big Bear AI is one of the ones I've looked at recently because they've gotten quite a few contracts in terms of I forgot who they've partnered up with, but like they recently introduced I believe software into an airport. I think it was in Denver, Colorado, which makes like it's seamless like getting out, like boarding on planes with like the technology they use. So they're like an AI play, but a super risky one. They're trading like $4 a share or whatever it is. But I've gone onto their website, I've read through all the things they're doing, read through all the reports. It doesn't seem like it's got some connections, it looks like, which I kind of like. That's already being working with airports. I believe defense was one of them at some point. I could find it really quick and tell you.
So
But I don't know.
I
Yeah,
got
go ahead.
into I got into BBAI when it IPO'd a few months ago, I think it was.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really doing too much, so I ended up getting rid of it. Jumped back into it, wasn't really doing too much, so I got rid of it. I really like I really like the company and what they're doing. One of the bigger things that they're doing is making it easier for air traffic controllers to do their job.
Yeah.
Using AI, which is super important right now, considering the fact that our air traffic controllers are overworked, our skies are being overflown, and we don't have enough air traffic controllers
Yeah.
new coming into those positions. So I do think that this stock will take off, no pun intended.
Right.
But I just don't know when is the problem.
Yeah, so if you're looking at like holding in for long period of times, if you got time on your side to hold it, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Right now I'm selling cash secured puts against it right now, trying to get a low strike price in to like start buying shares and then doing cover calls at some point. But I mean, right now I'm not really being assigned anything because it's up, it's down, it pumps up a little bit, pumps down a little bit. So it hasn't really done much for me in terms of like actually acquiring shares yet. But I'm kind of looking at if I can get in at like a $3, $2 strike price, I'm totally cool with buying in and trying to hold it and see what happens long term. Because again, reading through like what they're doing and like their what they come up with as a company, it's a lot of potential. It seems like there for sure. I know everyone's like on like Palantir right now as like the mainstream one that focuses with like all that kind of tech, but everyone's talking about how Big Bear could be somewhat in the similar space now, which is kind of interesting if you're looking at the
Yeah.
next Palantir potentially.
So the thing with Palantir is, I mean, after spending as much money as you're going to on those contracts, you're not going to cancel it and get with another company. So Palantir
Mm,
does have a really good moat there when it comes to like contracts they're already in. If another player comes out and they can do it cheaper, people aren't going to want to do that because they've already spent how much research and development with Palantir and how much on their contracts with Palantir. So they possibly be competing for contracts that aren't already are already acquired, but um, Palantir's definitely like 10 steps ahead of the competition currently with their contracts, and they're now moving into the civilian sector. They're already in the prison systems. I'm not sure if they're in the airline yet, but the second they're viable for any company in the world and they're affordable enough for any company in the world, like Palantir is going to be their main solution. Um, and Palantir didn't really get that pump that a couple of these other companies did today. Palantir's sitting at $75 a share or slightly below that. That's well below
mm,
their all-time high, which was reached back in December. And it was about $80. So they're still about $5 away from their all-time high. I think they'll reach that well before their earnings, and then if they beat earnings, uh, you could see Palantir trying to shoot up towards $100 per share, which in 2024 it started off the year at around $15 a share, $16 a share.
mm.
Um,
Uh,
Yeah, something like
and
that.
yeah,
in this past year, it's just shot up. So we started this year at about $80 a share, and it's filling a gap where it had dropped down to $67. It oversold. If you would have been able to get a call option in during that $67 period, you'd be printing right now. I was in a car wreck, so I wasn't able to get in. Um, but uh, I mean, I bought in today. You know what I mean? So it's never too late for this stuff. I mean, if I see Palantir going up towards $100 per share, buying at what, $74? If you're as bullish as I am, like that's not a horrible deal. That's
Mm.
about 25, a little bit over 25% actually. It's closer to probably 30, 32%. Um, so yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
and
that's very
something.
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, something about Palantir is I knew about it back in 2021. I think I got
Ooh.
shares at like $22 a share, and it actually dropped. It like dropped down to like $15, and then when it came back to 22, I just sold it. So, I was never looking at it as like a long-term investment at the time. But I mean, I'm definitely slapping myself in the face right now for missing that one.
I don't think so,
I had
because I
Palantir
mean,
at 8.
that's what I was gonna
I
say.
had
It
I
I
did
had
mean,
Pal-
drop down to like $7, $8 at one
yeah,
point.
I had it at
yeah,
8 and then sold it during COVID.
Man, that's tough.
nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
No one knew
So
it,
now
no
here's the.
one knew that it was going to do what it did this year. That was
Mhm.
No,
ridiculous.
no.
I remember just seeing 20% after 20% and thinking it was too high of a market cap, and then they'd announce more contracts, and I'd be like, well, now they're overbought, and then you'd see more contracts, and they'd be up another 20%. They'd beat another earnings. Like it was just ridiculous all year.
Yeah.
Do
So
you think
here's
they're overvalued?
They're trading at a forward PE ratio not seen anywhere else, but are they worth their forward uh, PE ratio? That's definitely a good question. I think they're going to see a
Because
lot of
I
this money,
know.
the AI,
crazy.
because we're talking about all these companies that are going to get money from the AI. Palantir hasn't even been mentioned once, and realistically, they're probably looking at possibly getting some of that money at some point, like or someone they partner with, and then they're gonna get some kind of contract. Like Palantir's gonna see some of this money through some kind of medium, if that makes sense. Because if the people hiring them all of a sudden have more money, they're more likely to get a contract, etc. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
They
no.
they. I don't really think of them as a. I know they're the tech company. Like I know they work with the military, so the military doesn't mind spending as much money as they want. So that's really good for any of these companies to have, military contracts because it's pretty much like a blank check. They'll just whatever they need to get the objective done. They'll spend it. Am I right?
Oh yeah.
Something interesting is
Spending
China
is crazy.
stocks. A lot of these China stocks are down 20% today.
Oh
It would
wow, I
be
didn't even notice that.
interesting. Yeah, that's something I just noticed. A lot of Chinese stocks are down at least 20%, right? So that's interesting in any kind of partnership going forward, or or if you do see that Panama Canal situation going down, like Trump was saying, like those stocks could go even further down. You only see this kind of growth in the U.S. economy if the U.S. is doing better than the global market. So this
Mhm.
is definitely bullish on American on the but then also you look at like the QQQ today, and let's see, it was only up 0.5% today. Like it feels like it went up so much more than that. Um, and then it was up. It's actually up it's up as much as it was today in the actually more than that in the overnight market. Like it's up more than 0.5% in the overnight market. So it's doubled its pretty much what it was at earlier. And at some point it had dipped about 0.25%. So that's a pretty
Mhm.
large swing. Over 1%.
Tech
Like
stocks should open green.
the U.S. economy was up 1% today on the QQQ. Let's check SPY. The
Not much
That's
SPY
different.
pretty good.
SPY was up 0.89% today, and then 0.26 in the overnight. So it's about the same. It's about 1% today. So that's really good. But it felt like a lot more than that. Like with all the small cap growth, it felt like it had gone up at least 2-3% today. But a lot of the blue chips just didn't perform as well as the rest of the market. So you could see some of that catch up tomorrow.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah, back to China going down like that. Remember Trump with the tariffs? You think that might have something to do with it?
oh,
Yeah, did he
definitely.
announce it today at some point? I think he announced he was going to be looking at doing, what was it,
He
10%?
signed a bunch of executive orders, um, as far as I know today.
Yeah, I think
Um,
one of them was like 10% or something like that. That he was going to like start, because he's going to like roll them out slowly but surely, I thought, at some point. Let me see if I can find it.
yeah, he
Like
also
other
did
ones.
some pardons.
Yeah. Canada and Mexico, he's going to do as much as 25% by February 1st. And I thought there was something that popped up for it, but maybe not. It was just a rumor at the moment. But yeah, I think that's kind of, I know that um, me and Daisy were talking about on the podcast the other night was the idea of the economy doesn't know, like the Fed is like, it feels like everybody's just kind of like in like just this gray space of knowing what is going to happen with the economy in the next year, with tariffs being implemented in, with any other executive orders going into play, because we don't know how it's going to impact those interest rates, the inflation data. Is it going to make it better? Is it going to make it worse? So it's kind of like we're like at a standstill right now, I believe. Right, Daisy? We talked about that the other night. I think we're kind of just like up in the
Definitely.
air about things, right?
Definitely.
Because who knows what's going to happen?
That's right.
That's what
Nobody knows.
that's what we're talking about is like literally like with the swing of like two words, like the entire economy could swing one way or the other. Um,
Hmm.
and like last Trump presidency, we had COVID like in the middle of it. So that's kind of that's just kind of like a new slate, you know what I mean? Because last time like a huge disease just dropped in the middle of like a first for the 20th first century for sure. Um so yeah, that just kind of blew everyone's plans for the market. So seeing like a full Trump presidency without like a pandemic happening for the first time in like a century, that's definitely going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Hopefully,
definitely not good.
hopefully, hopefully, knock on wood. Hopefully, no pandemic.
Right.
Somehow the
So, I mean,
pandemic,
going
The
back,
pandemic 2.0.
yeah,
right.
So there
I
is an
like leaving
idea
the house.
though. If you do predict a pandemic coming up though, just buy a bunch of UVXY and buy UVXY calls. Because if the market drops, that's the secret ticker right there. It'll skyrocket
Mhm.
into oblivion.
yeah, into oblivion.
Yeah,
Jason says
and
he's
that's
going to
the
sit
VIX,
on
by the way.
cash during Fed meeting. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Powell's
smart. That's
definitely going to
smart.
shake the bag. That's probably smart
Yeah.
there.
Well, because they're not pricing in the first cut till like middle of the year, like June-ish is what they're looking at. And right now, everyone's expecting 3 rate cuts. And if your first one's in like June, that means you have to have 2 come pretty quickly after that in the next couple months to even be on track for it. So if we're already looking at 3, I mean, it was like last year. Last year, at one point, the market was like 6 rate cuts, and then it was like, whoa, like you got to relax. Like we're not doing 6. The Fed was wanting like I think 3 or 4 last year. The market wanted 6. So anything can turn on a dime and really make a difference, honestly.
So I had
Yeah,
read.
like sorry, go ahead.
I was just to say I'd read somewhere that that the first half of the year was supposed to be a little choppy, a little bearish, and then second half of the year was supposed to be bullish. But we'll have to see what actually happens. I mean, everything is all speculation
Right.
up
Well,
until yesterday. Yesterday brought in
statistically,
a brand new world.
yeah, statistically, January is like the lowest point of the year. So we
Oh,
might have a bright year ahead of us.
it's usually January, and then I think like September. Usually, there's a huge sell-off in September, from what I remember, like historical data.
Yeah,
Like
it's somewhere in the middle. It gets a little hazy.
yeah. I think people are like tired of like the bullish first half, and they're like, "I'm taking profits and just cut all their positions," and that's where the September just got like the bad end of that side. It was just like, "Yep, the average return for September is like 1% down, I think, or some crap like that." So it's just like, "Oh, okay, cool." Like, so get ready. You always see people usually start to sell off, usually end of August, probably.
Yeah, a lot of people restructure their portfolios around that time and take profits around September. So that's why we're seeing that.
Yeah, but then we think about like this, like usually like December, you're supposed to get like the big Christmas rally, and this year we got like hammered in December with the indices and everything. It was like I think we were down in December for the month, if I'm not
Yeah, that
mistaken.
was weird.
I know I was.
Like that was a like that. I think
That was a tough
yeah,
month.
yeah, it was down. Yeah, it was wow. How much is this down? I mean, I think it was like down. Like it was definitely something I've never even seen in the years of me investing in the market. I've never seen it be down like this for December at least. It really
Well, you
makes me
did
mad.
notice that on the results of the presidential um, election, the market just kept going up and up and up. As far as
Yeah.
spying QQQ, like that was a really good bullish time there. Um, did MicroStrategy also go up during that time? I'm trying to remember, but
I
I
think
think that
so.
might
It
have
was
been in
being
September.
shorted during that time, if I'm not
Which
mistaken.
time?
Actually,
Yeah,
no,
yes.
it was being shorted before then.
Wait, what are you talking about? It started getting shorted in November, end of November.
Yeah.
Yeah. It had a really big month, which was either September. Well,
It was November.
I
No,
forget which one was it. I can check.
November.
No, December is when it crashed.
Yeah.
Yeah, from
Yeah,
Went
November
late
1st.
November and December.
From November 1st, it was at $229. November 20th, it was at over $500. So,
Yeah.
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 November 21st was that huge red candle,
yeah.
and that's been the goal ever since. So we are reaching closer and closer to that. We're at what 400 now with
Yeah, we're back at
MicroStrategy.
November 25th levels. So that's good.
But like honestly, I mean, with that huge run up, like I mean, some people got to be selling their money at some point, taking their money out of
Well,
that with that
something I'd
huge
like to
run up for crypto.
mention,
Oh yeah.
something,
Yeah, not
some,
not everybody can make money.
something I'd like to mention real quick is right now, MicroStrategy is worth a lot, and by a lot, I mean a lot more than it was in November, because in November it hadn't been diluted yet, and now, I mean, they own so much more Bitcoin. They've sold off so many shares that their market cap is probably nearing two times as much as it was during that huge run up. So right now, MicroStrategy as a company is worth a lot more than it was in November, to be
Oh
fair.
wow.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a
That's
really
a really
interesting
good
point.
point. Because Bitcoin's also worth about the same as it was around that time. If not, I think it was around 100K, so it's worth a little bit more now. Um, and MicroStrategy's probably, I mean, their market cap's shot up considerably because they've sold so many shares.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm definitely welcoming another MicroStrategy bull run because that was a lot of fun.
So
As
Bull
long as
runs
they
are
don't
always the fun
dilute.
ones. Yeah, bull runs are the fun ones, right, guys? Like everybody's making money, you're putting money hand
I
over
think we can
fist.
all agree that bull runs are the fun ones.
Yeah, they're
If you sit there and
definitely the
tell me
fun
that bull
ones.
runs aren't fun, like I have some questions I want to ask you.
I mean, to be
Of
fair
what
Here's
you
why
think.
though,
sporting.
to be fair though, this year MicroStrategy's already went up almost $200.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Well,
within a year.
That's
It
insane.
has a
no,
lot
no,
of
no.
high hopes for
I
it, you
mean
know?
since December 31st. Like it's went from 200
he
a
means year
little
to
bit,
date.
yeah, year to date. Like it's went from $260 up to nearly $400.
Oh
That's
wow.
incredible.
So if you would have bought that dip, like that was tax loss harvesting. They sold the day before the new year, and then the
Yeah.
new year hit and it was up like $50 in one day. If you bought that
Yeah.
dip December 31st, like you've almost doubled your money.
Well,
So
I sold all my MicroStrategy around break even, and then I just went ahead and went all in on MSTY, which gives you dividend
the
Yeah,
payments,
dividends,
and
that
yeah,
crazy dividend.
it's a
Yeah.
lot less hectic. And so I've been liking MSTY. I've
Right.
been getting dividends every month, for how many shares you have, and it goes up with the price of MicroStrategy as well. It not dollar to dollar, but it does go up. So next time it's at like 500, I think it's going to be like around like $45-50 a share. So, the value will go up in time as well as those tasty, juicy dividends.
And the dividends are paid monthly as well, which
Yeah,
is
every 4 weeks,
super
I
nice.
believe.
Super
So
nice.
so someone brought up in the chat apple bottom jeans. I also love the name apple bottom jeans. That is a clever name. And this is really interesting. I think we talked about this before also, Day Zero on our podcast beforehand. He goes, do you think the yen carry 2.0 is on Thursday? So talk about the carry trade with the Bank of Japan raising rates potentially this week.
That wow. That is a great question. That is a
Yeah,
great
so
question.
I mean, so I've done a lot of reading up on how carry trade works. I mean, I don't know, how familiar you guys are with it, with the carry trade and the idea behind it? It's pretty interesting because I had no idea. I thought I was like, who's carry? And it's like not a person; it's an actual like idea, believe it or not.
Yes, and
We
so
talked about this the other day, actually.
we did
Yeah,
go through this just a few months ago.
yeah,
So I mean, if the yen carry trade does go through again on Thursday, that's going to send our markets through
there's some hell.
turbulent times. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Because
yeah,
Oh, for sure.
we borrow a lot of money from over there because it's money's cheaper in
yeah,
various places. So that could throw our markets into a little bit of turmoil if it does happen. That's a great question. Al Bottom Jeans is an incredible trader. And yeah, if it happens, we could be in for some serious shakeups.
yeah. But it could
Yeah,
create a nice buying opportunity.
yeah. Glad to see Apple Bottom Jeans in here. That is Never Pull Over's mentor on After Hour, and he actually had his mentor Umada day trading SPY mini futures last week, and he made $18,000 in a week trading
Wow.
futures. I'm trading futures right now, but I'm just doing a demo. I'm still trying to learn. It's not easy. It moves fast. Like by the time you like buy your order, you're already down like $75, and then you just kind of hope and wait. But it moves real fast, and you can make a lot of money and you can lose a lot of money. So do what I do and get a demo account trading futures.
I've seen like those
Don't
videos.
use real
People
money
just,
yet.
like they buy in, they're just like, oh, I'm down like $1,200. I'm like, dude, like you have to be able to stomach like a snap of a finger, and you're down $1,000 to do futures. It seems like. And I'm like, that's just not for me. Like I can't be doing that. I can't stomach $1,000 right away on that. No way.
Yeah, like I once bought something. I'm like, I think it's gonna go up, and like it just went from like 325 to 525 to like 750. I'm like, what the heck? And I just sold. Real guys in seconds, hundreds of dollars in seconds.
I
Like
gotta get on this, man. I gotta get on
it's
this.
no
Right.
joke. Yeah, it's no joke.
I could just see myself like fumbling my phone, like trying to hit sell really quick, and I just like drop my phone, like in the middle of teaching class, just drop my phone, and just like, oh crap, guys, I need to make my week's salary, guys. I need you guys to relax. Don't talk to me. Like I'm like trying to hit the sell button, like
Yeah, for real. Like
You just pointed at a student. You're like sell or buy. Just really quickly. Tell me what to do.
somebody help. If you help me make money, I will give you an A. Please, I need to make some money.
No midterm for you, kid.
especially if you have a WTF in your class.
That'd be the ultimate student. Tell you that.
Hey, what's your pick for today?
I will tell you. I will tell you though, this question from Apple Bottom Jeans, it's really got me thinking, right? And that's why I've been keeping cash on hand. Is cash is so I like to follow royalty trades, right? I think he does some really great morning analysis, and I like to read his morning analysis. And as he always says, cash is a position, right? And so I like to keep cash on hand. I don't like, as I said earlier, I don't like to buy on green days. But with what Apple Bottom Jeans mentioned about the yen carry trade possibly happening Thursday, that's a great time to have cash on hand. If we have a lot of red stocks and there's stuff that you think is going to go up, that'd be a great time to buy. However, conversely, it also scares me about any options that you may have expiring on the 24th.
That's a good point.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
For sure, yeah.
But like, I think at the same time, like, even if you don't have the cash right now, like, I mean, the carry trade, that like fear could spread the market for the next like days, weeks, maybe even the next month or two. Like, even if you don't have the cash now, you could build your cash up if it seems like the market's going to be a choppy first half of the year. build your cash up a little bit. You probably are going to get some decent red days if we see carry trade 2.0 happening, because it's not going to be just like a 1 day thing. It takes time for that market to recover, I feel like.
Yeah, and so what this is telling me? This is telling me that for my portfolio, maybe some of this cash might be going into UVXY.
Yes. Always have that hedge.
Yeah,
That's a great hedge, man. Can't argue that.
It is. Yeah, it is. Definitely one of the best.
Hey, Apple Bottom Jeans, thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
I think he left. He said, "See y'all." And that was like 10 minutes ago. So we've been talking to him. He's not even been here.
It's okay.
Hey, still, I appreciate it because he's the one that gave me the thought to think this through, and then there we go. You know what I mean? It's a good hedge.
Someone in my Discord asked about that earlier. They were just like, because in some of the Discords I'm in, like I put in like my analysis of like CPI data previews, PPI data previews, and stuff like that. And this guy was just like, "You seem like you know a lot about economic data." And I was like, "Well, I'm not a financial expert, but I mean, I do a lot of reading in my free time on it." And he asked me about it at the carry trade, and I was like, "Oh shit!" I was like, "I'm not gonna swear on YouTube." I was like, "Oh, like." Let me look into this. So I started Googling and looking into it, like, what is he talking about? And it's like, oh, like Japan's looking at raising rates again and stuff like that. And I was like, oh yeah, that could be a huge problem. So really interesting, actually.
Yeah, every morning I wake up, I've got a Bloomberg report that comes, not report, but like a little Bloomberg like email that comes with, like just a general overview of the most important data that you need to know for that morning. And I've got like one other that comes to, I just like to start my day with that. And then I turn on CNBC, just see what's going on. You know what I mean? So when the Bank of Japan thing was announced, I did think about that yen carry trade, but I forgot about it.
Yeah. I'm looking at day zero talking back at Palantir, and I wanted to bring this up earlier. It says Palantir to $100, right? And so my question is now for you guys, because I feel like stocks we know is like a lot more psychology than anything else. Strike prices, like nice, even $100 Palantir. People would love to see it. Bitcoin, everyone wanted to see $100,000. Like, how much do you guys believe in that idea of like the psychology aspect of like the exact, like beautiful SPY to 600, Palantir to 100, Bitcoin 100,000? What do you guys think about that idea?
I think that market makers are very much aware of that, and they will try to hedge your position the best way they can to make sure that it doesn't pay out for you.
Wow. Yeah, that's very true there.
For example, like if I see a call option that I'd like, right, and the open interest on it is just huge, and I see that that's where max pain is, I'll make sure that my strike price is below that, because I want to try to make sure that I profit, and I know that the market makers want to make sure that max pain happens. Max pain meaning the most people lose the most money.
Right. I always think it's interesting because everyone's just like, oh, like I'm calling Bitcoin to 100K, I'm calling SPY to 600. It's like, and then it's like it hits it for like a second, and then there's the market makers being like, nope, absolutely not. And like they just pull it right back. Like it's like people don't really think about like that psychology behind it, because people think it's all just like analysis, and it is analysis, but it's also the psychological factors that play into it. It's a lot more into it, which is actually, to me, I'm sure there's books that talk all about that psychology and everything.
So, absolutely.
For sure. Psychology is a very big part of the market, and the red color, the green color, it's all part of your psyche. It's the plus, the minus, it's all there. It's all there just to mess with you.
I've seen somebody do a video, and he was like, I make my candles be like blue and white. And I was like, huh. Like, that's actually it's like actually really interesting that he's like, yeah, because you see red, you think fear. You see green, you think greed. Like, if you do like neutral colors, like blue, white, anything that's not red and green, like, he's like, I'm more disciplined in my trades. I'm following my trades better because I'm not panicking about that. So I was like, actually not an awful idea to kind of take away that like psychology factor of the colors.
I just think of Christmas, Just
That too.
It's funny. Hey, since we're talking about psychology of trading and everything, I think it might be a good time just to bring up, just for anyone that doesn't have one, the importance of a trading plan. Um, because as we're talking about green and red and fear and greed, it's important to as we were talking about earlier, your risk uh, tolerance and your portfolio management. What I like to do with my trading plan is I like to have percentages just set out, like this is where I take profit and this is where I cut
Mhm.
losses. You know,
Yes, I
just
know Jewel asked that question. He wants us, and he wants to talk about us. Like, what's your take profit and stop losses with swing trades or options, and if it changes from trade to trade or a set process. So I'm sure he'd love to hear you guys. Don't ask me because my chat GPT trades are just a bunch of degenning stuff. Like, I have a little bit of ideas behind it, but I feel like these guys have the expertise more. So I'm sure they have some better insight for you on that one.
all right, guys. Who wants
Fridge.
to let's start?
Well, I was going to ask Fridge a question. What would you do if you went on ChatGPT and you said, "Oh, what's a good stock for me to get?" And it's like UVXY.
I'm putting everything in my social medias and be like, guys, the market is panicking. Like, I'm running around
Everything.
panicking. I don't think if that's what it recommends of everything, not even like treasury bonds, just to park your money for 4%. Like you're saying UVXY is a problem. Like that's market fear right there. But yeah, I mean, I don't. To be completely honest, I don't fully have my knowledge from ChatGPT. I want everybody to be perfectly understanding of that. Just a little bit of experiment I'm doing, but yeah, that would be some sheer panic. I can look it up right now while you guys talk about it. I can tell you what it recommends. I'll
That's
pull it up.
funny.
Okay. Sounds good to me. Well, yeah, back to a trading plan. I mean, it's all about your risk, you know. Try to stay away from zero DTE options trading. But
Yeah,
if you
definitely stay
do,
away from that.
just get in and get out. Like, do not stay in.
Man.
Theta will kill you, and it's designed that way for a reason. And you're always gonna say coulda, woulda, shoulda, but as long as you get out with a profit, then I think you did a great trade. New fish.
Yeah, so I'm a little different. I was sort of looking at a 20 to 30% profit as well as loss. Uh, as like a place where I cut. But I don't use stop loss though. That's the difference. I don't use stop losses. I just pay attention to it because if I have a stop loss at 20%, but I'm looking at the momentum and the momentum goes from like 19 to 21, but then back to 19. Well, I would have been stopped out at 20, and that would have sucked. You know what I mean? So I'll sort of gauge how the stock is moving. But I've since changed it. I've changed my profit area to right now. I'm looking for like 30 to 40% on call options. I don't really do puts, but I'm looking for 30 to 40% on call options. Just trying to branch out and be a little bit more profitable. And then on shares, I'm trying. I have been mostly a swing momentum trader, but on shares, what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to accumulate 100 block shares in companies that I really believe in. So that what I can do is, if need be, I can sell some covered calls and make a little bit of the premium that way. Um, and then, I'm also not afraid of penny stocks either. Cooler was a great one. I got in at 77 cents with like 2,000 shares and made a boatload of money on that. So I go a bunch of different ways, but as a rule, 20 to 40% of a loss or profit is where I'm willing to go.
Yeah, and if you do cover calls, a good opportunity is whenever you have a stock and like it just jumps like 5 points in a day. That'd probably be a good time to do a cover call because more than likely it's not going to jump up, another 5 points. Um, so just take advantage of the volatility and sell a cover call once in a while, as long as you have 100 shares.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because usually you get a lot more of a premium when it gets juiced up that much. You get a nice little move up in the cover, and when you do cover calls in that one, and like you said, you have the idea of it already went up, 5 points, whatever. The likelihood of it going up again another 5 points is going to be very, very unlikely. So you're able to absorb that premium as the seller instead of the buyer, which I know that Days you and I talked about before. It's like selling the options puts you in, if you want to do the metaphor of like a casino, instead of being the one gambling and putting it on in blackjack, like you're the house, and the house is where the advantage is found compared to the players usually. That's why selling options has that like, kind of idea as a strategy as well, what people do a lot of, and I think it's a great idea.
Definitely, man. And like kind of moving on, like what's the stock each of you are most bullish on? Like what's the number one stock, like if you could full port into it, like Sir Jack did to make his millions of dollars, where he would full port into a stock and then move into the next stock. Sir Jack made like $10 million without trading options, right? Like he just
I
That's
know.
went
I
stock to
really
stock.
wish that like I could do that. I know I can, but I just don't have like the mental capacity. I don't think to do a trade like that. Just go all in on one stock with all your money and just hope it goes up. I
If you
don't know.
if you did have that,
Anybody
what would
else
be the number
here?
one stock right now that you would do that in?
Okay, so for me, it would be a derivative of MicroStrategy,
Don't say
MSTY.
it. Oh
Uh,
man,
Did I say yours?
you did say mine. You did say mine.
Try not to be the same as me. But yeah, I mean, it's less than. I love to buy it when it's less than $30. Um, Dividends just come in every month. I'm just trying to get as many as I can afford, but I also don't want to go all in at the same time, if that makes sense. All right,
So,
Nefesh.
I'm sorry. Were you done? I don't want to cut you
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
Yeah. So new fish, big pond here. If I could full port, obviously I can, but if I were to full port, I would full port into MSTY for the reasons that Darren just said. It's it. Uh, I really feel like we are now. I feel like we're at a good entry price right now. Still under 30, I think, or right around it. This stock, the share price is going to go up, but the dividends are going to go up as well. And what I love about it is I love the idea of having a nice monthly income, just passive income. If you full ported, you could make a few grand a month, and that'd be wonderful. Just free money, and you could either do it as a dividend reinvestment program to get yourself more shares, which in turn gets you more dividends next in the following month, or you can just take the actual cash as income. That's
So my
awesome.
question is,
That,
why even bother with the market if you can just do that?
Well, because then what happens if your risk is what happens if we have another late November, early December?
And you still get your
No,
dividends.
what was it? November 21st.
Yeah,
Another one with
November
November
21st.
21st.
Then you still get your
Well, because
dividend and you own the shares, and then long term it just sells covered calls, and like you still make dividends long term until MicroStrategy recovers.
Yeah, I'm waiting for a big jump in MSTY, and then I'll sell the covered calls.
Oh, okay.
But at the same time, I really don't want to lose my shares.
Yeah.
I'm
right.
really betting against it not happening again. But either I could play it safe and not do it, or I could feel kind of safe after a big jump and then sell covered calls. And I think that'd be my strategy with MicroStrategy.
Okay. Fridge Financial, what's the one stock you could full port into and not even think twice?
Dude, and not even think twice. Oh my god, dude, I'm trying to even think. I mean, if we're looking like full port, not think twice. I mean, it's kind of like a similar route, I guess, for you guys, but it's ProShares Bitcoin ETF because they pay out a monthly dividend as well.
Yeah, that makes sense.
BITO Crypto Futures
Beta,
pays out
yeah.
monthly dividend as well. The thing I like about that one, which I feel like is probably better, the only advantage I guess you would have to compare to MSTY is that the options chain is a lot larger for this ETF. It seems like there's a lot more strike price or a lot more expiration dates, so you have a lot more chances of entering in for covered calls and everything. So kind of following the same idea as you guys with like investing in like stock or an ETF or something like that, where it has like the dividend payout monthly and it's in crypto based. But at least I'd like to have a little bit more of the options chain, have more availability for me.
I have not heard of this stock, and I am looking at it right now. What were the
Yeah.
dividends recently for it?
So I've gotten paid out. I mean, I don't have a huge position in it because crypto, obviously, for me, I keep like 3% of my portfolio usually, give or take. 28 shares, so it's like $900,000. But last month I got paid out 26. The month before that was 23. So
So it's
it's
about
like
$1 a share.
about $1 a share, yeah, give or take about that $1 a share. So, I think it's again like I think it's like annual. It's like 48%. I think because it's like 4% a month, something like that. It's like 4% a month, so about 48 a year, something
Yeah, I
like that.
see it
So
came out in yeah, I see it came out in 2021 and it just dropped all the way down to like
like $8
$11, $10.
or something like that.
And now it's just
Yeah,
coming back up to 25 while
yeah. I
Bitcoin is at
mean,
over 100,000. So I'm just
Well,
wondering what is it like feeding off of?
that's because
yeah. I
48%
mean,
of the. Oh, go ahead.
I think it's because it does future contracts. I mean, it doesn't follow the Bitcoin price, kind of like probably what MSTY does as much. I would think of with like MicroStrategy, from what I've read into for it. So it doesn't follow like dollar for dollar, percent for percent for Bitcoin, but I like it as more of a passive approach more instead of having the money all in Bitcoin. Have the passive dividend like you were saying, but you can also do cover calls for extra passive income as well. So that's something that I wouldn't mind doing. Like I've seen people have like thousands of shares get paid out, like $1,000 a month, like MSTY would pay out as well. So it's kind of like a similar play for that aspect, but it doesn't really move as much. But right now I'm up in the green right now, and I've gotten made like over, $50 on it. So can't really argue right now, just some dividends for it. And then use those dividends to buy more shares and kind of hopefully reinvest and grow it. Give me a small position in Bitcoin still.
I think if I
It's
had
an
Yeah.
to pick
interesting
one,
one.
Um,
if I had to pick a stock, it would either be Palantir or RXRX. Like RXRX, you would have made like 20% today, anyways. Like I think
Mm-hmm.
I'd wait till a $10 RXRX and then sell it. And then if Palantir isn't at $100 yet, I'd then full port into Palantir. Um, but yeah, there's definitely price targets. Like you have to kind of be wary about like once the stock reaches a certain point, like to sell it or not.
yeah, just do what Garcia is doing on After Hour. He's mainly in Palantir and Rocket Lab, and he has an amazing portfolio. I
Yeah,
would wait to
definitely.
buy on like a red day, but
Yeah.
I mean, he has quite the
Gotta do
setup.
that
I'm
cheap
very,
30%.
I wonder how it
very
would be
proud of
if
him.
you cost averaged only on red days into like two stocks, like RXRX and like Palantir or like Rocket Labs Palantir or RXRX Rocket Labs. Like if you on red days, you just put like an extra $50, $100 into the stock, and then wait till the next red day, put another $50 to $100 in the stock, and just keep cost averaging in like over time, like how much money you'd make.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Good idea.
it's the smart thing to do. Like always buy on red days, always
Mhm.
sell on green days,
Yeah,
or
but
don't
that
sell at
doesn't
all.
mean
You know.
put all your money into it on a red day because you could just have another red day the next day. So like cost averaging on red days is probably the way to go.
Yeah, but
Yes, I agree.
what's interesting is that I did a video about this recently. I'm not plugging my channel, I promise, but I did do a
No,
video on
you're
this recently
fine.
as well.
Yeah.
It's actually based off of like 1,000 simulations. It's better to lump sum invest versus dollar cost average. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. It's better to
Really?
full port your money in. Yeah, it's like most of the time because what the data suggests is that like dollar cost averaging it's good for risk exposure and limiting your risk and your downside. But their math behind it basically is like we know that over the last 100 years, our markets go up more than they go down. So chances are you would have missed out on those really good years in the market waiting to dollar cost average compared to just full porting it all at once. So you limit your risk, but you're also limiting your upside potential compared to just putting it all in at once and just see what
Unless it's a
happens,
shit
believe it or not.
stock. Like what if it's Apple the last
Unless it's a shit, yeah.
three
Unless it's a shit
months?
stock,
You know what
yeah.
I
If you're
mean?
if you're buying those crappy stocks, then yeah, then dollar cost averaging makes a
I
lot
mean,
more
even
sense. 100
Apple's
percent.
even Apple's down like 20% in the last 3 months. Like if you would have full ported within the last 3 months, I mean, you'd be down 20% on Apple shares right now. So it's also
Yeah.
timing as well. So that only works if you
Timing
have
is
good
huge.
timing. So that's a good
Right.
point as well.
I don't know about you, but I can't time it. I'm like, oh, like I'm gonna buy on this red day here, or it's like, no. It's gonna go red again tomorrow. Watch, it'll go red again tomorrow. Next day, boom, back up 2%. Well, oh crap, I should have bought in there. Like,
Yeah.
it's just you think you have the timing down as someone who's in the markets. You're like, I got it. Like, I'm gonna beat the market. I'm gonna beat all these Wall Street people, and they're just like, nah, dude, you're stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. And they just do whatever they want. So that's why it's just like one of those things where it's just like the data always suggests like just putting money in now, having time be on your side for it is honestly like the statistically the better way to go over like thousands of simulations they did. It's crazy actually.
Okay,
So
that's
that
very
circles
interesting.
back to Sir Jack's method of just going all in on one stock.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he wrote the article I read. I have no idea.
Did you find on ChatGPT?
I'm gonna be like, hey, dude, did you write this by any chance? Because you made a lot of money full pouring, and this seems like it's backing up your thesis here. So,
That's funny.
Well, what he did though is he went on Reddit, and he looked at all the like stocks being pumped, and then I guess he kind of just I know that CLOV was one of them
oh,
at the time. I
yeah,
think it
I've
was
heard,
like
yeah,
$1 per share or something like that.
yeah.
And he just kind of cycled through all these different like meme stocks, but he would go all in each time. But he would just make crap load of money each time.
It,
Almost. But there was one time, and I called him out for it. He bought like, oh man, he bought so many GME like $50 calls,
mhm.
and like it went up to like 80, and he sold, and then it continued to go to like 300.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
Yeah, like he made a really good profit, but could have made so much more, and
But that's part of his
that's
plan. Like
kind of the history of him.
that's the thing though is you need to have a plan, and once it reaches that
Yeah,
risk level, you have to be able to execute and just sell. Because
That's
imagine
the
if those
trading
would have
plan.
dropped back to 60 the next day. You know what I mean? So he definitely made the
right.
right move there, long term. Like, yeah, we know what happened, like in the scheme of things, but that's not a normal market movement.
Yeah. Let me tell you,
So
if
Yeah.
I'm ever able to take my chat GPT trades and I put some money into some stupid stock and it like 100 X's and I'm able to retire, like that would be the best challenge of my life. If it's ever a possibility. Will it ever happen? Probably not. But that would be wild.
that would be wild.
Who needs research when you have AI to do it all for you that's just pulling things out of its butt, probably?
Do you ask specifically for like penny stocks whenever you do it, or what's
I
your
say
technique?
and I do a whole video on that as well about like what I do for like the prompting stuff like that. And my idea is basically to say, like, first of all, imagine you're trading stocks because if you say trade for me, they're gonna be like, we can't give financial advice. You gotta like find a way to like work in like it's an imagination scenario. And then I say pull website articles, give me stocks that are under $10. But the one thing that I really look for is the implied volatility to be super high because that's where you're getting those 5%, 10% gains, not like the 0.3% or whatever. Because when I first started doing it, it was like, put your money in Amazon. Cool. I'm going to get like maybe 10% in the entire year or whatever, 20%, whatever it could
Yeah.
possibly be, right? Like, I want those gains like today. Like, I want them in the week and I'm going to sell it out. So I wrote like buying on Monday, selling on Friday, high implied volatility. I also look for high volume though, because you can't get in and out with a low volume. So I look for high average volume. I look for under $10, like and then it spits out like some different stocks that it recommends. The thing that I hate is that there's times where it gives me the same stocks over and over again. And I'm like, dude, stop. Do not list something above. And then it'll be like, here are the stocks. And it's the same ones above. I'm like, you just don't listen. Like, thanks. Like, so it's a pain sometimes to work with. But somehow I've figured out a way to like use it to generate different stocks like every week. Someone brought up a good point. Be like, have you ever thought about going back into stocks I've already made money on? Like if OPTT pops up again, should I go back into it? And I use that as like my foundation, and then I do Fibonacci retracements to see which ones are looking at some good support levels and where they can rise up to. So it's a little bit of my information with charting along with their recommendations, and I kind of narrow down a list. because it gives me like 10 different stocks and I want like 5. So out of those 10, I chart each one to see which one to me looks like it's the best potential to have upside.
Okay, what is your best performing one so far?
Best performing one. I gotta pull up my account and tell you. Because I've had quite a few ones. I want to say honestly it's OPTT. I could be wrong, but that one I made a crap ton of money on that day. Let me see. I did a penny stock. I traded Tupperware like a while ago. I don't know what that was about. STEM Incorporated, $58 on $100, so it's up 58% in a day or 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I don't know. I don't know what that was. I was just like, okay, sure. It was like 48 cents, something like that, and then it pumped. So my top holdings that have done the best: STEM 58%, OPTT 50%, NXU 33%, Funware 33%, Bit Digital 15%. Then the losers, the biggest loser I've got is Intruision 31% down. Solidian Tech down 25%. So it's obviously like there's some losers as well, but yeah, I've had some pretty crazy pumps, I will say. I'm curious to know what's going to happen tomorrow with the new
So,
all mine are pumping after hours. So I'm curious to see
so
how it's going to go tomorrow
with
morning.
Stim, did you you were holding it whenever it was in December and it jumped from 32 cents to like $1?
Yep. And so my Fibonacci retracement level is like the highest one I had it up to was like I think it was like 88 or something like that. So I set I love Webull for that reason. I can do like take profit, stop loss, and then like one click. So I did my take profit, stop loss, and I was like, if it hits it, great. It's stop loss, whatever. And it went right through it. It hit it, and I cashed out, and it was like I was like, dang, dude, I made like $58 on 100 in like a day. Like it was crazy.
That's
Um,
good.
yeah, no, it's amazing. And like this morning, believe it or not, like the ones I'm in right now, there was like 3 news articles that came out that were all positive for like Comstock was a positive one for securing rights and something. And I was like, great, love it. Don't know what the heck you're talking about, but I love it. Another one in Nuvu like had good reports for earnings, apparently. Like so like some good news came out and it pumped some of these up already, which was like couldn't ask for anything more than that in the first day. That's the best time when the first day you make a crap ton of money, so I can just do nothing literally the rest of the week, and I'm good.
Yeah. Like I was in Comstock, but I guess I got in when it was like at 60 cents or something. It's gone down to like 35 cents. Like I don't know what the
Yeah,
big deal was with that stock. I've seen it, I've seen it on Reddit and I've
yeah.
seen it on ChatGPT. I do look sometimes myself.
Let's go.
And
Love to see that.
and you hear things too, so you're just like, oh, I know about that stock, and
Yeah,
it's literally really done not much at all. So
yeah, for sure.
I was
Someone
not
comments that
impressed with
on
my
after
trade.
hours.
I was not impressed with my trade at all.
So someone after
Uh,
hours is like, I've been in Comstock for a while, it's done nothing. I'm like, maybe today's day. I was like, maybe this week's the week. I don't know, man. And right now it's up 18% in one day. So ChatGPT was right. Just throwing that out there.
yeah, it only needs to be right once, right?
Yeah,
Hey
that's
guys,
kind of why instead of like full pouring the whole thing, I do it in like 5 stocks. So that way, if one of them hits big, the other 4 could be absolute trash. And as long as one hits big, then like I'm golden. Like I'm just trying to average it out that way. So
I want to
It
ask you
seems
guys.
like. Oh
Oh,
yeah, go
sorry. Go
ahead.
ahead.
No,
I
no,
just want to ask you guys a question here. So I just saw something that you can now trade direct VIX on Robinhood. I have a Robinhood account and I have a Fidelity account. You can trade VIX on both. What's your reasoning for going with UVixy rather than with VIX? Because UVXY looks like it's more expensive than just .VIX.
So
it's
you said
leveraged.
UVIX?
UVXY,
Oh,
right?
okay. I was looking at the other one. UVXY.
So we've got that ProShares Ultra VIX short term. That's $18.15. And then you just go to VIX, right? .VIX, and that's 1506.
I guess I don't have access to VIX.
So on
as far
Robinhood,
as I
it just
know,
came out. I think I just
as
saw a
far as I
message.
know, as far as I know, VIX and UVXY are the same thing. So you're
Right. So
saying because
I'm saying UVXY is more expensive by $3 per share than just regular VIX.
I think UVXY is more what's the word?
Oh,
Uh
UVXY provides 1.5 times
3x, right?
leverage. No,
Yeah, yeah.
UVXY
It's
Okay, there
provides
we
one and a
go.
half times leverage. That's what it is.
yes. Yes. That's
Mm.
what I was trying to say. I couldn't get into words, but
You're
it
okay.
has more leverage. Yeah,
Just
I
a
was like,
little bit,
what's
but
that word? Level? Yeah. Yeah, so it has more leverage than VIX, but they are
Okay.
ultimately, the same thing. But yeah, like I had a good thought because right now it's like the lowest it's ever been in a while. Um, just load up on UVXY and then on a red day, sell it, and then buy up, stocks in your portfolio that are hurting.
Not a bad
Does that make
option.
sense? Does that make sense?
I think.
Because
I mean,
you're
I
not.
think I get it.
It's not going to be green all the time, so you might as well just have like a bunch of UVXY in your portfolio, maybe like $1,000 worth or more.
Mhm.
So when you encounter those big red days, you can dollar cost average into stocks that you're not going to be selling.
Right. I thought the only thing is that if you're holding those, if you're buying, you're talking about buying like shares of UVXY, or you're talking
Shares,
about just
yes,
so
shares,
I guess
because
I guess the only thing that I would be worried about is like you have like that expense ratio puts it in a little bit more perspective if you're holding long term. So because who knows if we get a crazy red day now, or maybe have to wait like a couple months for a crazy red day for it to take off. I mean, I think it's like the only thing that people I think probably worry about is the expense ratio, right? Because like what 0.95% for UVXY.
I look at it as a hedge, Say
Okay.
one day that the stock market just drops down to 400 SPY. UVXY will be like 300 a share or some shit. So it's just like, you kind of have like you have your hedge there. So that's the only reason why I think it'd be worthwhile to keep in your portfolio.
I can see that. Like you said, it's definitely not a bad idea to have it as a hedge, because again, the more you hedge your portfolio, the less you're getting for losses, right? I mean, it's not a bad idea to hedge anything.
Yeah. Also, if you see stocks in your portfolio that are like at the all-time high, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to buy puts, or at least one or two puts, for that stock, so that if it does inevitably, draw down, you can
Mhm.
sell it and buy more shares.
Right.
That's great advice.
Right? You're gonna kind of hedge yourself, but in the same sense, be realistic. But there are cases where a stock will just keep going up. So, but it's not very common that
Mhm.
happens. That means you have a unicorn.
There's always
The
that one
term
unicorn.
unicorn for a stock. It's pretty much a stock that just kind of like Nvidia's graph every year to year.
Right.
I think that's the best way to explain it. It's just in January it's low, and then by December it's much higher than any time else during that year. So
Yeah, dude,
was
I
there
remember
anything? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say my fiance like a couple years ago, she was like, yo, like she's like she's like if you're investing, she was like you should get Nvidia. I was like, dude, what are you talking about? She's like, dude, Nvidia, like graphics cards, like everything, like computer based, and I was like, dude, I know what you're talking about still. Like, you gotta dumb it
Oh
down for
my
me. So she's literally sitting there
gosh.
trying to tell me what to do. This is like 3 or 4 years ago. And
Oh
she has it in
oh
her
no.
no,
portfolio. She has it in her portfolio, bro. And she brags about it all the time. She's
Oh
like, I told you, she's
no.
up like so much. Like, this is like pre stock split, like pre like anything. Like the two stock splits, because it happened. There was two of them, right? I believe.
Oh
There's
no.
two stock splits in the recent years. So she was like, she was all in, and she was like, see, I told you, like every day. She's like, you're Mr. Financial Person, huh? Like, well, look what I did. And I was like, all right, dude, like, let's relax here a little bit. But
That's wild.
how
like,
many shares did she get?
oh, she didn't go crazy, dude. Like, I mean,
Uh,
like, she didn't go like super crazy into it because she just started investing. So, but like all the money she did put into it though, like she put into Nvidia. So it was only like maybe like I don't even know if I think pre-split it was like I don't even know, like five. No, it was like only like
Yeah,
$1,000 something like
Nvidia was like
nothing
five
crazy.
So
dollars a
now she has
share a
like
few years
fifty
ago.
thousand dollars in it or something, because like it
Yeah,
split.
she had like $1,000. It was like $1,000, something like that, like something crazy like that.
So now
But
it's
still,
like
like,
so now it's
yeah,
like
it's good
30 or
return.
40 grand, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, my guy.
Yeah, and then again,
But
like I
it's the
said,
same
you're
case with
always looking at
Palantir.
me.
Like Palantir just randomly shot up all year.
Hmm.
Some people were saying
Yeah,
Palantir's the way, and I was like, nah, it's gonna drop back down. It never did.
I heard that for years, man. Like I said, I got into it really early, and but even then, like you said, last year it was like $15 a share, so I would
Yeah,
have still been like
$6 a
upset and
share.
probably like sell it as soon as it got back to my price range.
Yeah, it would have taken you getting locked up in prison and just forgetting your Robinhood password to hold that shit.
yeah.
Yeah, it just that's the thing.
Same thing with Bitcoin hard wallets. Same thing. You
Yeah,
got
it's the
locked up in
same
jail for
thing.
something. You're in jail for 10 years, and you
If
had
you were in
Bitcoin
jail
was
for
like
10 years for
100x.
using, you went to jail for hiring a hitman using Bitcoin, so your 3,000 Bitcoin that was worth like a couple grand is now worth like a couple million or something. Like, there's got to be stories
Right.
like that out there. That's hilarious. But if you guys want to start wrapping it up, does anyone have anything they want to bring up before we cut it?
Sure, yeah. I'm Darren on After Hour. I post memes and I give some stocks. I share what stocks I buy sometimes. I do the weekly poll now of After Hour. I get everybody together and see where everyone's brain is at in the market. And I mean, usually like the top four stocks that come up, they do really well for the week,
Oh yeah,
except
definitely.
RXRX.
Well, no, RXRX was actually up today. It's up like
I
12%,
know. I saw it at
15%.
$7, but last week it did nothing, so I'm still upset about
Yeah, I understand that. It's up some ridiculous
Darren,
amount of percent today.
Darren, how you said that, it reminds me of you ever seen Hot Rod, where he's like, my name is Rod, and I like to party. That's like my
Yeah.
name is
it.
Darren. I like to do weekly stock
My
cut
name's
memes.
Darren, man.
That's all I could picture was like, my name's Darren. I like to do memes. My name's Rod. I like to
I
party.
tend to go a little crazy on the weekends sometimes.
Just a little.
Um,
Um, but Fridge, did you want to say anything? New fish? Either of y'all?
I mean, I would say same thing. Yeah. I mean, Fish Financials, like you look anywhere, Instagram, YouTube, after hours, like it's literally the same thing across the board. Chat GPT challenge is doing amazing work. Can't complain about it. If you're following it, then hopefully you've made some money like I have. If you've lost money, I'm sorry in advance. It's not my
Uh,
fault. It's ChatGPT's fault.
and then
And that's really all I got.
new fish. Did you have anything real quick?
Just New Fish Big Pond. Give me a follow on After Hour, and I signal my trades that I do for my own portfolio. You got to know what's right for your portfolio. I do take losses just like everybody else, so keep in mind that risk management is important. And it's earnings season. See what companies you like. So, maybe you want to take a risk. Maybe you have some strong conviction in something. Let's all go out there and make some big money.
Heck yeah. Well, I appreciate everyone for joining me on here today, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut the video. We can continue talking for a little bit, but thank you everyone for joining in on us. Cijo says appreciate you, Darren, and then Mikey says, "Hey, Darren, love the post on AH."